questions about choosing majors too, and part of it, of course, is to help students make sure they're excited. But overall, it was like, you can do it, and we're here to help you, and you are students who are experts in it. And as you probably know, they just had their class, so we're still here. You're still here? What year are you, Paige? Senior, okay. So pick your favorite chair.
You say, I was talking to my friend, she was like,
probably a little early, actually. So pick your favorite spot. Sean, pick your favorite spot. We'll get rid of whatever chair.
unless you get one, just here.
She's really cool.
Oh my god. It was like meeting a celebrity.
I call it kind of like this, but way bigger.
It was like meeting a celebrity.
Yeah, she's really awesome. She's really awesome. I understand. Ooh, wow. Jarrell, are we ready to roll? Okay, awesome. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight. If you don't know already, my name is Sarah. I want to ask, first of all, how many of you guys took a college midterm last week? All right, tap yourselves on the back. You did it. You took your first midterm. Hopefully they went well. Hopefully you felt prepared, and you have many more chances to take them. So congratulations on getting through your first round. I also want to ask you, how many of you now have a resume? Great. Everyone should have a resume. This is really good to have as you start your first year. And I want to also commend you all. From what I understand, you did a really awesome job on making those resumes and being really thoughtful about them. So thanks for putting so much thought into them. It will pay off when you go to the career fair next week. If your resume isn't one page long, there's a few I think we had some concerns about. Try and go see Career Services. That's what they're here for, to help you really make a resume that helps you shine. So if you feel like yours isn't really ready to shine yet, go get some support for that. That's what Career Services is for. So next week is the career fair. I just wanted to give you a little reminder about that. When you go, probably most of you haven't gone to one before, and that's why we're going to encourage you to go next week. You need to dress professionally, and we'll have some instructions about what that might look like on the website. You don't need to go buy new clothes or anything, but you just want to look nice when you show up there. Also, bring copies of your resume. That's what it's for. That's why we had you make them. So in case you meet a company that might be interested in hiring you, have a resume on hand so that you can share it. And Tuesday, I just want to remind, Tuesday is the technical career fair, so that's the one we really want you to go to. That's where we'll have most of the engineering firms that are interested in people with your skills. There's also one on Wednesday, which is a little bit more general, and if you can't go Tuesday, you could go Wednesday. But if you can go both days, it's much better to go Tuesday, because that's when the engineering firms will be there. Anyone have any questions about that or anything else in this course before we get started? Okay, so tonight we have 5 awesome upper class students here to answer your questions. And truly, this is, I hope you guys brought some questions tonight, because these are mostly, juniors and seniors, students who are towards the end of their career and have made the decisions about what to major in, made decisions about which dorm to live in, which clubs to do, which minors to do, whether to study abroad, all that stuff. And so have some firsthand experience and are here to answer your questions. So let's begin. Does anyone have a question they want to start off with? Yes.
Where have you guys studied abroad, and how has it affected your education?
Okay, awesome. What's your name?
Justin.
Justin. I just realized, Justin, that I didn't let them introduce themselves. So let's have them introduce themselves, tell us their major, what year, and then we'll answer Justin's question about studying abroad.
My name is Sean. I'm a 4th-year junior in aerospace, and I've never studied abroad because aerospace doesn't let you do that.
My name is Christina Howard. I'm a senior studying chemical engineering and minoring in business, and I have not studied abroad either.
My name is Paige. I'm a senior in technology, arts, and media engineering, and I have also not studied abroad, but I did go abroad for like a week, and it was awesome. So.
Hi, my name is Byron Bearden. I'm a junior currently, computer science major. Have not studied abroad, but I'm planning on doing so. I'm also taking a lot of German here, so that's where I plan on going. So.
Hi, I'm Lauren, and I'm a super senior in computer science and math. And I did not study abroad officially, but I did, after my freshman year, I did a backpacking trip through Costa Rica and did some leadership training and things like that as an abroad experience.
So Justin, that's a really good question. Just in general, we're wondering if you can study abroad. Sean said you can't in aerospace, so that's actually not true. Sean, you can study abroad in any major, and now, but if you do want to do it, now's the time you kind of want to decide, especially if you're in a curriculum like aerospace, which has some pretty lockstep courses. So talk with your advisor sooner than later if that's something you want to do, so you can fit it into your curriculum. Great question.
Study abroad, do it over the summer.
Talking to the
Yes, definitely. Do it over the summer.
If you're going to study abroad as an engineer, the best option is to do it over the summer, pretty early on too, because you want internships later on.
For the business minor, they offer a couple courses where you do go to like Panama and Northern Europe and something, and they're also offered over the summer, so it's just a short, like 3-week course.
I do know people who did a semester study abroad, and they basically stacked up so that on that semester they take mostly humanities credits and maybe a math course or two, and then it's much easier to study abroad and still get those credits, and then they returned in the spring, and they all went to Barcelona, I believe. So definitely possible, but plan ahead.
Sure. I also had a good friend that is an engineer and a French major, so totally different majors that don't overlap at all. So she's had a super heavy course load, but she planned ahead starting her freshman year, and she just took no engineering or science courses the one semester abroad and fully immersed in France, and just took French classes. I know pretty much a lot of people I know that have studied abroad really try to plan to have their abroad experience be more humanities rather than really specific engineering classes. But there definitely are universities abroad that allow specific engineering. It's just harder and not as flexible. That's all.
Thanks, Justin. Other questions? Yeah, what's your name?
Seth?
Seth.
What types of internships have you guys done and how useful have you found them?
Can you hear Jerome, the questions?
Yes.
All right, internships.
All right, I guess I will start. I've actually done a few. I think aside from the job I've had here on campus working at the Bolt Center, I've had 3 internships. One was at a construction company, was really just kind of interesting. It was like just kind of chose it randomly. Somebody offered it to me through one of my classes, and I was like, yeah, sure. Went into that, enjoyed it. Obviously, do not want to work in construction. Was not my favorite field. But then I moved on to I became a software dev at a different company. That was a lot of fun. Learned a lot. Got a lot more confidence as a programmer since I am computer science. And then now I'm working over at a company over on 29th Street called Zayo. I'm doing that. So it's mainly just kind of have your ear to the ground. Just look around, because even if you go into an internship that you may not truly enjoy, it's like, well, at least you can cross that off your list. You can still gain a lot from the work experience, from the work environment. But yeah, I would just be open at least. So that's, especially since you all are freshmen. So
Internships in engineering also tend to be paid. At least for computer science, that was one of my internships. So that's, if you're looking for a summer job, that's a really great way to get not only work experience, but also a little bit of cash for the school year. So I had a software development internship at a company called CA Technologies. It was definitely, I learned a lot. I learned a lot of skills. I also learned that the sit in a cubicle kind of internship was definitely not for me. But that was a really valuable experience that I gained, and I ended up switching to the new TAM major because of that experience. So it can really inform you what the real world is like in your chosen field and help you to decide, is this what I want to do? Do I want to refine it a little more, or maybe go a different direction?
So this past summer, I interned at a brewery, which was, a great experience. But as a chemical engineer, it wasn't as much of like the design and like process analysis that I wanted to do. But I worked in a lab, and it was a great experience because it really like ensured that I knew all the proper lab techniques, like a little microbiology thrown in there too. And bringing it back this year in senior lab, we have a couple of experiments, and one of them is on a steam jacketed tank. And in the brew house, we have 2 steam jacketed tanks. So it was pretty cool to see it, upscaled, large, in person in the, industry. And we're doing little experiments on a mini one in the lab. So that was cool to draw connections between the two.
My freshman and sophomore summers, I worked for a company that built and designed microcontrollers for use in a variety of lighted signs, so it wasn't exactly exciting. But any internship you take that you can get, take it and work as hard as you can, because internships are a great way to network, right? If you work really hard for a company that maybe you don't really like the internship that you're doing, they might next summer when you're applying for them say, hey, you applied for this internship, we also have this one available that maybe pays more or gives you more opportunities. So in college, really just take every opportunity you can, whether or not it's a paid internship or a work experience internship. Every internship is good.
Branching off of that, yes, take everyone that you can, but also make sure that it fits in with your life. Don't feel obligated to have yet another internship on your resume. I actually ended up turning down an internship that I would have had this past summer because they kept changing all this information on me, and they said, oh, you're going here, and then they changed the city on me 4 times until it was May 15th, and I said, okay, I'm supposed to start in 2 weeks, and you still have no idea where to put me. I'm going to have to say no. So just be aware that it's okay also to say no if you know it's not going to fit in with your life, or that you've had maybe some kind of like warning sign. So like it will not derail your entire academic career. Just like do something else for the summer, or take a different job, or work around. Those are also really valuable experiences, and doing something will always look great on your resume.
Sure. I've had a few internships as well, and I think that, not that CU isn't awesome, but I would definitely say that in each of my internships, I've learned way more than every single class in college combined. That you learn so much. And don't be discouraged because you're a freshman. I transferred to CU, and then I ended up changing my major. And it wasn't until my second semester sophomore year that I took the intro to programming class. I'd never written a line of code before, like nothing at all. And I just totally went on a whim and applied to a startup in Boulder, and they ended up paid me a lot too. And I had only taken 1 intro course. So there's so many opportunities, even as freshmen and sophomores. Like really big companies a lot of the time are looking for previous internship experience, but local companies definitely are not. And there are companies, big companies, that do look for underclassmen, and they're like super awesome. They pay really well. They pay for your expenses. They pay for all your housing. They give you so much free stuff. They give you, oh my gosh, it's just so fun. And they have so many events every summer. So yeah, I'm a super big advocate for internships. You guys should work at Qualcomm.
Let me make that question. Can we just go quickly down the line? You don't have to elaborate, but just tell us how you got your internship. Was it website, career fair, family friend, professor? How'd you get it?
So that first one was just on the CU website, career website. The second one, I just applied online. And the third one, I got at the Women's Computing Conference.
The first internship was just one of my group mates in one of my freshman classes, like the projects course, actually worked at a company. He was like, hey, do you want this job? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll check it out. And that's how I got that job. And then the software dev job was actually a hookup from that previous job, so that's how I got that one. And then the one I'm working currently was from you, actually. So yeah, it's kind of a mix between just kind of being involved as well as just kind of being open to like, hey, like, do you want to come and like check out this company? And all these companies that we're all talking about, they all come here. They all like meet at CU. They have not advisors, recruiters that'll come and talk to students here on campus. So just look out for them.
Yeah, kind of all the same stuff. First one, Family Friend. Second one, Grace Hopper Conference for Women in Computing. Definitely a lot of fun.
I actually got my internship while I was out buying beer. So I was at Hazel's and I noticed a guy wearing an upslope shirt, and I just started asking him questions about his company, what they do, if they even hire interns because they're, such a small brewery. And he put me in contact with their lab manager, and I got hired. So pretty awesome.
So my previous internship, I just applied online and ended up being the only person to apply for the position, which was pretty cool. Right now I'm actually working on I'm in the security clearance process for one that goes fall to the spring, so it's like over the winter time. And similar story, I met a guy at a bar. I was sitting at the bar, and I turned to him and said, "Looks like you've had a rough day." And he's like, "Yeah, can't find anybody to fill this internship position. Everybody's security clearance keeps getting denied." And I was like, "What's it for?" And he's like, "Digital glove." I was like, "Well, I'm aerospace," and that's kind of how that story went. So.
For Christine, did they have to make sure you were 21 to work in the bar?
Well, what's your name? Anthony, that's a really good question.
Yeah, so I am 21, so that's how I met them. So they just, assumed I was 21. But I have had a few people, express interest in the type of internship I have. So I have to talk to my lab manager and see if they would be interested in having people under 21, have the same sort of similar experience interning in a brewery. So I'll keep you updated.
I think you can, because I'm pretty sure, because I was a bartender at the Broadmoor in Colorado Springs, and so I'm only 18, so I'm pretty sure it's legal in the state of Colorado as long as you have a supervisor present.
I'm a server at a bar. Those are
Yeah.
two different laws. Just so you know, those are two different laws. To serve alcohol, you have to be over 18, but to work in a brewery, it might be a different law.
Oh, sure.
So,
Good things to investigate. Other questions? I've got one. Oh, sorry. Remind me your name. Oh, thank you.
This one's for Lori. When did you decide to read?
So I started my freshman year as mechanical engineering, and that's pretty math intensive. And then computer science is really not math intensive, or not nearly as math intensive. So I sort of just threw that on when I changed to computer science because there was just a lot of overlap by that point. I'd already taken a bunch of classes, like Calc 3 isn't required for computer science, but I'd already taken that. And then there's specific math classes that count towards a math major that are required in computer science. So to answer your question, it was the end of my sophomore year. I literally took that coding class and was like, I don't like mechanical engineering, I'm changing my major. That was basically what happened. And I still somehow, I'm a part-time student now, but so this is like my 5th year. I'm gonna be done in December, but I'm pretty much done. I pretty much whipped it all up in the last 2 years or so.
So most of these students just took their first round of college exams, and maybe you're feeling pleased with how you studied and confident about going into the next round, or maybe you're kind of thinking, I'm not sure I studied right and I might need to rethink that. As experienced studiers here, what have you learned as good study strategies? What are your tips? What's working for you in being successful in exams?
Should I just start? Okay. I guess I mean, obviously all your professors tell you to go to office hours. I mean, everyone sort of tells you that as a freshman, go to office hours. And yes, you should go to office hours. Sometimes that's a little intimidating, but pretty much I'd say for all intro to engineering and pretty much until like 4,000 level engineering classes, there's gonna be some form of a help lab for all your classes. And there's always gonna be people gathered in there, other students, and you can work with them. They'll have all your TAs there, things like that, and that's all free. And then the engineering school offers like free tutoring, there's lots of different tutoring resources, but I think that if you know that you're really struggling with a class after the first midterm, be super proactive after that very first midterm. Like, get a tutor, find a study buddy, do something, but like jump on it pretty fast because it gets more stressful after that.
Yeah, I think that, like you said, it can be really intimidating to like go and be like, oh, well, these TAs are like so much older than me. They already know all the material. It's like, well, yeah, like they signed up for you guys. Like, you have to really. I think this was one of my math professors told me this, but as professors and as TAs, like students who go here or graduates that still like come back and like help for lower level courses, they have to really, really love the material to like teach like lower level, because that's not necessarily what they want to be like doing. They want to be working at like a higher level and things like that. So they're really there for you guys to bring up the next generation. I feel like every situation I've ever been in, when I've gone and like talked to them, it's been like a positive, like they want to be there to help you guys. And so that's my biggest thing, because that's how if I struggle with something, that's like the first thing that I do is like, I just need to go talk to someone about this, because you may think like, oh, I can figure this out on myself. I can study as hard as I can. But like for me, I try to study smart and not study hard, because it helps me understand concepts, and concept learning is like here for college. Whereas like when it was in high school, it was like brute force everything. You just go through problems, but concepts are really, really big. So
yeah, branching off of that, come to the Bold Center. That's where I work. We have lots of tutors, and sometimes there's even food. Like there was pizza today. So come to the Bold Center to do your homework. On that note, I would say that probably one of the hardest things for me was learning to stay calm during an exam, especially your first college exam. It's not like they just pass out the test in class. Like in high school, you go to like the Coors Arena or this room right here, and you all file into seats, and everyone's sitting there kind of squirming about the test, and you think, oh gosh, this is really scary. So definitely, like, it's supposed to be hard, but you studied. So make sure that you have some ways to keep yourself calm and focused, not worrying so much about like the time and what's going on around you, because it is a really different environment, definitely, than what I was used to. And once I got that down, it really helped me a lot during my test taking, because you do know this. You just have to make sure that you know it when you're sitting down.
I am so pro with studying in groups. Like that is what I tell people to do. Like, do your homeworks in groups, study for tests in groups, just be with those people that, like person A might be really good at this concept and you might be really good at a second concept, and you can just ask each other questions, bounce off ideas while you're doing the homeworks together or studying for tests together. And that's what I've really learned works super well for me, at least because I'm such a group-oriented person.
So I have a couple of do's and don'ts. When you're doing your homework, don't use Chegg. As helpful as it may seem for getting great homework grades, your test grades will suffer. I guarantee it. Studying groups are great, mostly because you can ask other people if you don't know. But if they don't know, then, hey, there's a chance for you to go to a professor at office hours and formulate, a good question and come to them with a question that they think, will actually increase your knowledge and understanding. Concepts are key in engineering. If you don't understand the base concepts, every year that you get further through your degree will just get harder and harder and harder. So make sure that freshman year, when you're looking at the basics and the fundamentals of things, study hard, learn the things well, or you'll be like me and be a fourth-year junior.
This is for all the students, saying this is particularly me, but I know that there's at least probably a few of you out there. that like kind of breeze through high school, and like that's good. That probably mean like that's how you got into this School of Engineering. So, but don't be discouraged. Like that first exam where you're like, wow, that went awful. Like, don't let that discourage you. Like, try to let that motivate you, because I know for a lot of my friends, especially freshman year, that's what happened to them. Like their first test that they really just did poor on, it kind of made them think like, oh, like I can't do this, I don't understand it. Like I want to like just try to push yourself to understand more and like find that knowledge. I think that's one thing that doesn't get addressed a lot for testing. So yeah. Yeah.
Okay. This is a sort of branched off that, but I'm sure you guys are now familiar with the term weed out classes. Are you guys? You've heard of like weed out classes. Okay, don't listen to that. If you are super passionate about, like for me, if you're super passionate about computing or you're super passionate about chemistry or whatever, don't be discouraged because Chem 1 is considered a weed out class. Like they're only trying to weed out the people that are not planning on working hard and pursuing. Just because you get a low grade on a test does not mean that you're going to be weeded out. And I think, because I definitely self-doubted myself a lot after I'd never had below an A in high school and then got like a 49% on the test in college. And that was like really scary. I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm going to be one of those weed out kids. But it's just, they can't weed you. It's not like they force you out. It's more about trying to scare you away. And if that's something you're interested in, pursue it. And if you're not sure, don't make your whole decision based on that class, because it's not, I'd definitely not say that like intro to programming was everything about computer science, or like physics 1 is all about mechanical engineering or something like that. But yeah, that's what I have to say.
Stick with it. Yeah. Other questions? Yes, what's your name?
Maggie.
Maggie.
So did any of you have positions in like a lab when you were here?
Oh, good question. Like doing research?
Yeah.
I was going to work in a lab and then ended up getting another internship, but currently I'm in a special topics course. I actually have a minor in evolutionary biology and ecology. So I am working in a special topics course where we actually get to go down to the 30th Street greenhouses, which is really amazing. They actually like set out like an entire room for us and everything. That's pretty much my extent of lab work.
Oh, is anyone else? You have?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I did an independent study and worked in one of my professor's labs a couple semesters ago. And then this semester I'm working in the lab for playful computation, which is part of actually the TAM program. And I'm computer science, so it's kind of like a sort of a branch off. But labs are, I mean, it's more applicable, I think, like lab, like if you're in chemical or something. But as for computer science, it's doing a lot of like testing, things like that for your professors, or doing like the side projects with your professors, adding to their research. You're not really doing like your own thing. You're not really doing like your own project, really. Is that what you were kind of wondering? I'm not sure what you were. Yeah, but definitely getting a job, getting like a position in a lab on campus is a super great way to start as well if you don't know about like internships really, because they're also all paid for the most part, or you can apply for a grant, and you'll be able to learn a lot and you'll be able to work with your professors, and then a lot of the time your professors have connections with people in industry and they can recommend you for an internship.
Oh, I was just going to say a couple of things. For people that I know who have worked in labs and with professors, when you first start, they're kind of teaching you the process and how the lab works. So you're learning from older grad students or older upperclassmen and the professor, and to learn how the lab really works, what the research is about, et cetera, et cetera. And as you gain skill in a lot of those areas, they tend to let you do more and more, and you can stay on for quite a while. If you're interested in getting a lab position, there's a couple of programs here on campus. One of them is called DLA, Discovering Learning Apprenticeship, so you can apply for that. They match you with professors who also apply for that. There's also a summer version called CU-Spur, which was very popular in this past year. It's a brand new program, which is basically the same thing, but you apply, they match you up with the professor. And even if you don't apply or get in through one of those programs, if you're just interested, most professors love to talk about their research. So if you go up and say, hey, I heard about your research, tell me more about it, that's a really good way to get that conversation started.
Like Paige said, just ask your professor. If you like what a professor does, I mean, every professor talks about their research. If you find one that doesn't, come find me. But seriously, my roommate, last year we had a class together. We're both aerospace, and he really liked the fact that one of our professors, his research focus was on bioastronautics. So he approached him after class one day and said, hey, can I work for you? And he's like, well, I don't really have anybody working for me now, but I can see. 2 weeks later, he was working for me. He's getting paid $25 an hour to help his professor write code and test his code. Plus, he gets to go to New York in 2 weeks for a conference, and it's all paid by CU. So.
I think we have time for one more question. Does anyone else want to ask? Yeah, what's your name? Adam?
I'm curious to see, what was the hardest class you guys have taken so far, and do you think it was rewarding? Like, did you learn from it?
Every class in aerospace is hard, but by far the hardest class I've taken was an APPM course. I took differential equations in high school. It wasn't that bad in high school. And then I took that sophomore year in high school, so I was like really, really ahead in math. Didn't take any math classes for 2 years. Freshman year, I was like, I don't remember anything. So I started off on Calc 2 and went through the process. I ended up taking DiffyQ 3 times. It's definitely one of those courses where if you don't go to lecture every day and pay attention, you will fail the class. Not necessarily fail it, but you won't succeed. And now in my junior level classes and senior level classes, we use DiffyQ in everything. So I'm glad that the third time I took it, I got an A, because otherwise I don't know what I would do.
Same for chemical engineering. Every class is so hard, and I can't think of a specific class, but I would definitely say fall of your junior year is so hard because you're taking app data, thermo, and heat transfer all together, and it's rough. But it's super rewarding because like app data is really fun because you can like use those statistics, data analysis. Companies love when you know data analysis or like design of experiments, when you can do stuff like that. Or like at the brewery, we know we have heat exchangers, and I can apply what I learned about heat exchangers to test the efficiency and stuff like that. So definitely rewarding because I can see how I can use it in my industry that I want to go into.
So definitely everyone kind of struggles with different things. If you're really good with visualizing the problem, you're that person who can look at it and say, yeah, this is what the graph looks like, then physics and math are probably for you, but maybe chemistry might not be. For me, definitely applied math was a struggle, but I got through it, and you will too. Probably the hardest class I ever took was Principles Programming Languages, mostly because the homework was very long and you needed to start it immediately when it was assigned, even though it was due 2 weeks later, because it would take you a lot of hours to finish. And the instruction level was less than desirable. I do believe that very hard classes can be much easier if you end up with a great professor. So keep in mind that even though professors might not be teaching that class that semester, they're usually willing to help you. If you have a relationship with a professor who's like in, say, chemical or something, and you say, hey, I'm having a problem in this class, you can talk to a whole bunch of like TAs, grad students, tutors, professors, whoever works for you, because they will try to help you to the best of their ability, and that can be a really good way to get through a class with a professor that you don't care for as much.
Do you have PPO with Chang?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in that class right now.
Oh.
It's difficult.
I switched majors halfway through, so I finished the class, which was great. That was, but.
Yeah, one thing I typically, like, I don't know about for everyone else, but I think for me, like, normally, like, my 1 or 2 hardest classes every semester are, like, the classes that I love the most. So it's like I go in and I'm super motivated, and then the stuff's really hard, and it's like, it's kind of this balance of, I know that I can do this, I know I want to do this. And so I think for stuff that's not, stuff that you will move past, like, into your upper level, like, classes, it's really just important that, like, you're thinking about, because especially now that you guys are freshmen, like, if you just focus on, am I really motivated to do this? Do I really love doing this? Because I think that those are the questions that you're gonna want to be asking, especially for those of you who don't know exactly what your major is going to be yet. So just kind of immerse yourself in those hard classes and see, like, what is fitting you the most, and then you can kind of take steps from there. So, yeah, classes are hard. You just gotta work through it, and it'll be okay.
I'd probably say my hardest class was computer systems. Yeah, that's the 3rd computer science class you'll take. And I was not very positive. I basically was like, I hate engineering, I hate coding, I never want to do this again. This is the worst thing ever. I did not have a positive attitude about it. I also, though, went into that class not even really knowing anything about binary. Like, I didn't know anything really. So it was definitely super, super hard. But the ironic thing is that so when you are applying for internships in computer science, software engineering positions, you have the interview process is not just them asking you questions about your personality, it's all technical. So it's all like, they give you a piece of paper and a pen and you have to solve a coding problem, or you have to code right on the board for them, or you have to code in a Google Doc, or they'll ask you like different data structures or different algorithms, things like that, you have to answer. And I feel like when I get questions about my computer, like related to computer systems, those are the questions that I nail because I had to study and work so hard in that class. So even though I hated it so much, I ended up probably learning the most from that class.
So as a last question, can we just sit down and share your most passionate piece of advice for first-year students? So we can start with whoever feels ready to share your piece of advice.
Engineering is hard. It's meant to be hard. It's okay to fail. It's okay to struggle. You will be fine, I promise you. There is a job out there waiting for you. Don't feel like you get through and you're like, oh my gosh, that was like the hardest semester ever. I promise it's totally worth it.
Professors are your friends. I think that's like one of the main things that I've gotten out of college so far is that it's how I've kind of enjoyed my experience so much more. Like, I'm not a huge part of any like sort of club. Like, I'm definitely involved with the Bold Center. But other than that, it's really just me having relations with like all the people that are like around me. Just like that's how I got into my special topics course, was a professor that I had, evolutionary biology. She's like, hey, I'm doing this course. It's the first time it's ever being taught. Do you want to like come and kind of experience that? And I was like, yeah, that'd be amazing. I'm going to see a lot of the research that she's doing, and that's what keeps me motivated to do more work, to understand more of these concepts, because I know so many people that also get really excited about it when they see it. Like, you'll find that group and you're like, those are my people. And then you'll be able to make decisions from there. So.
Again, engineering is hard. College in general is hard, but that check that you write to the university every semester affords you a lot of resources. Professors, TAs, graduate students, help rooms. Use all of the resources, but at the same time realize that you only get to do college once, so make sure that you're having fun at the same time. You live in Boulder, Colorado. It's a great place to live, so make sure that you live it all 4 years, but also focus on the fact that you're here as a student, which really is a job, and it's a full-time job.
definitely don't lose sight of your priorities. You know, school's number one, but don't be afraid to try new things. Like my freshman year, I joined the rugby team, knew no one on it, had a blast, tore my ACL, that one went out the window. You know, so just like fun things like that. You know, I joined SWE, now I'm the director of events, and just, you know, meet new people, get out of the engineering bubble. That's why I joined the business minor. So it's just, you know, try new things.
Kind of branching off of that, it's okay to change your major several times, including junior year, because I'm still graduating on time, so it is possible.
I guess I would say to get involved. I think that being involved for me has helped me the most in college. So for my little pitch of women in computing, if you're a woman and you're in computing, you should really, really join Women in Computing. It's the best club ever. And so I originally joined Women in Computing because I was living with 5 guys and they all sucked and they were gross and I felt like I had no girlfriends, and so I wanted to have some girlfriends. Otherwise, I was probably going to drop out of engineering because I didn't know very many girls. And that club basically changed that all around for me. But now that club has also, I guess, yeah, that's how I've gotten all my internships pretty much, is through that. It's how I know Sarah. It's pretty much how I know all my friends. Everything is through Women in Computing or other clubs that I've joined on campus. And so I think I definitely would suggest joining some clubs because they're fun and you get a lot of free food.
Please join me in thanking our student panel. And for your attention and for your great questions. I really appreciate it. We're out a little early, but if I could see Bruno and Jacob and Justin and Colin and Maggie before you leave, that'd be great. Thanks, guys.
Don't forget to join every intramural team you can.
Yes.
And if you guys do have like a few more questions, I'm not gonna be anywhere, so I will be here. Yeah, feel free to come on down.
Yeah, this is the coffee here shop in the lobby. No, in the lobby on engineering. So I switched back and forth. Hey, in the engineering center lobby, yeah. No, it's oh, it's actually like I kind of like that never happened. So next Don't share that with my kid. Fair enough. That is hard to do. That's rocket science, dude.
Yeah, I'm getting my doctorate in music. And I started